When you take a look at Earth's history, you take a look at the history of the planet, it can only accurately be described as a story of the damned. I know that Charles Fort wrote a book called The Book of the Damned, and that many of us are damned in a lot of respects because the earth is under the control of Lucifer. It's under control of the devil in a lot of people's opinions, that there's demonic possession everywhere. There's demonic spells that are cast, rituals that are done. However you choose to understand it. Maybe radical evil would be better. Rather than saying the whole world is possessed, but you could say the world is under the spell of radical evil or a demonic plague or something. But right from the start, those who wish to occupy or colonize or enslave were involved in mass killing because they consider themselves divinely blessed and guided, or part of a chosen people whose mission was to build an empire. In our case, we had manifest destiny on our side. Nothing stood in the way of a divine calling, which involved the need to enslave and kill millions and millions of innocent people, and that continues today. We've created the other, and we've always seen the other as expendable since they've stood in the way of an imperial march or an imperial cult that's either ordained by God or by some other dark agenda that certain people don't want to talk about, like Nazism or Marxism. And all the wars waged based on lies and false flag operations. It's not a secret, although, that most Americans, if they're aware of it, prefer to see it as a series of aberrations carried out by bad apples or something from the past that we don't want to remember. The earth over time has hosted governments and nations of killers of the innocent. Its consciousness is damaged. It's conscienceless. It's brutal. It's, in essence, it's in the grip of evil forces, we can conclude, we can talk about. But nobody focuses on the ritualism of war. That a lot of what goes down, the bloodletting and all of that is done sometimes in a ritualistic way, in a more medieval type of way. We're still capable of committing medieval acts against each other, all based in black magic and what they call the illuminated initiate magic, alchemic magic, or there's so many ways to describe this. It's the refiner's fire, if you will, the blackening and the whitening, and the ritual that initiates go through to be traumatized and then later become adepts in the practice of this type of darker magic. And I was talking about that Black Sabbath song called War Pigs. It was where they talk about the generals gathered in their masses, like witches at black masses. And I was saying that the song War Pigs was originally called Walpurgis. And Walpurgis is something I brought up long before Walpurgis knocked, or the night of Walpurgis, which of course is April 30th, and then Beltane happens on the 1st of May. And if you don't know what Walpurgis is, well, it's a lot of people do. It could be a holiday that is set aside for bringing the sun back. It's a pagan holiday, but some have turned it into a high witch or a high satanic holiday or ritual celebration. And so when Black Sabbath did War Pigs or Walpurgis, they said they didn't want to use the title because they thought it would be too satanic for people to understand. But when you're looking at the first verse of that song, and when it talks about politicians and generals that make up and lead the wars, and they're the real culprits behind all the evil doing, it basically makes war sound like a satanic ritual. And that founders of war are similarly doing something satanic. The plot of their destruction turns into bodies burning and continues to fuel the war machine. And these wars bring nothing but pain and agony as they are brought about through deceit and lies, as I said, false flag and other operations. Well, Walpurgis knocked and Walpurgis, the satanic holidays where ritual bloodletting takes place, was something that I was actually vigilant and looking into, wondering, so what will be the main focus what will be the main bloodletting ritual? What would be the attack? What would be the horrible thing that goes down? Because there are plenty of horrible activities that have gone down on Walpurgisnacht. And when Ryan was on the show just a while ago, he was naming like Oklahoma City, he was naming all these other events, Waco, all happening in April, all for the Walpurgis celebrations of bloodletting, and then, of course, Beltane, the burning times. But like I said, every year there seems to be an event that happens that can be seen as strange or ritual or some sort of ritual sacrifice or something. And I was looking, actually, because people were speculating about whether or not Putin was going to drop an atomic bomb at the end of April, or there was going to be a massive killing or a massive shootout or some sort of mass, bloodletting going on. And I did find something, but it took me days to find it because I had to get caught up on my reading. We're doing some things at home here that I'm preparing. Janine and Liam are taking off to Europe, and I'm getting the house together. We're getting together to get the trip going and everything. And so, some of my time has been spent doing that as well as trying to do the show. But as I was, compiling information about the Walpurgis rituals and whether or not there are any Walpurgis rituals going on, there was a European newspaper that was that put up a brutal photo. It was a horrible photo of Russian soldiers, all kind of hacked up and beheaded and everything. They were put into a Z formation on the ground. And in fact, when I posted that picture on my Facebook page, I posted at the same time I posted the Russian joke about the ISS, and I was banned for 24 hours. I thought I was being banned 24 hours because they said the picture was too brutal for Facebook, but it wasn't that. It was that I made the joke. But still, I was worried that picture was going to get me into trouble. But then I started reading other stories about that picture and the origin of the picture of these. They said that the Russian soldiers, you could tell they were Russian because they had the white bands around their arms, and they couldn't identify them because, of course, they were mangled and brutalized. And in some places, they said that they saw bodies burning in a circle and arranged in circles, arranged in Zs. And one horrifying image of the dead soldiers was all they showed in the national media. But it was enough to get my mind working, and so I did some more studying, and I realized that something a lot darker is going on here, just like what we were talking about earlier with Alexander Dugin and the Russians and the possibility of occult war crimes. This is a occult war crime going on.